We know the rules of acquisition are not complete when there isn't a saying about people demanding a better cost of living increase here. On V'ger Please, a vile visit to Bajor. My name is Joseph.
I don't disagree with Quark's objection to people doing medical procedures in their ears behind a food service bar.
Clear health code violation. Clear.
Fucking gross. Earwax. You know there's a lot of earwax porn out there. I'm your co-host, Peter.
Peter, before we launch into this week's episode, I dominated the last couple with shit I have been watching, but you, sir, you actually sound like you went to a theater. Which, like...
Twice. 2 times.
My God, man. What'd you see?
Well, you know, we talked about, I don't know, a couple episodes ago, I said this He-Man movie was on my radar. But first, I took my 9-year-old, my freshly birthdayed 9-year-old, to go see The Backrooms. I love The Back. This was a really...
Quite the choice, sir.
The Backrooms was a rabbit hole that I fell down on YouTube a couple years ago. This Kane Pixels kid, I think, is the generational talent. The liminal, creepy, 4chan born, whatever. Like,
yeah,
the whole
absolutely.
vibe.
I understand it. My wife has also been a connoisseur of that stuff. I have seen some of it. It's interesting.
It's very well done.
Yeah.
This kid, and I forget how old he was when he started, but like real eye for design and creativity, very polished product. A24 was absolutely correct to scoop him up as quickly as possible. I watch it all. I love it. Obviously, I'm into supernatural stuff, sci-fi stuff, whatever. I loved it. I don't know if she was 7 at this point or 8 maybe, but somehow it got brought up and I was like, oh yeah, Backrooms. And she's like, Daddy, you know about the Backrooms? And I'm like, oh yeah.
You know about the Backrooms? You're having a moment.
Listen, dude, they play on Roblox and that is, we've locked it down and there's supervision on it, but like, they've got access to this media source and like the current zeitgeist of weird, whatever. So she thought it was very cool that I knew about it. We bonded over it. My wife was like, what are you talking to the child about like this? And I was like, this is fucking cool, man. This is like the first thing we've really been able to be like, hey, here's something that's not fucking blippy or, you know, YouTube children's programming. So we went to go see Backrooms. It was fucking great. It's rated R. I don't think it needed to be rated R. I think it was rated R mostly over the profanity. Like there is some violence in there, but I don't think it's really that bad. Them going rated R with it, I think, was a real choice. And like, there's a lot of kids that wanted to see this movie, and creating that hardship, I don't know if making it R maybe made it more appealing or what.
It just made it so you didn't have to worry about it on the margins, right? Like, you know, if you're trying to nerf to PG-13, even if it's not much, the differences might really matter.
I need to read up on it. It still did very well for itself, especially for its budget. It crushed.
Oh, yeah.
There was that other movie, Obsession, which was like another YouTube to the big screen.
Yeah, and then there was Markiplier with Iron Lung earlier in the year.
Fucking crushed it there, too.
Yeah.
This Backrooms, I had to have my kid cover her eyes for the previews going into the movie because, like, the fucking Evil Dead movie was, like, gory as fuck through the trailer, man. Like, people with car seats sticking out of their neck. Once we get into the actual movie, I was like, all right, you can watch.
It's
like
fine.
Yeah, but like the trailers were like the real bad part there. Backrooms was great. I wouldn't say it's a must see, but if you can watch the YouTube stuff and you're into it at all, I think they did a great job living in that space and pushing the lore forward without doing too much recap. And just like, it was a great natural extension of the YouTube product. And then there was He-Man.
Oh my.
Also, Grogu and whatever Mandalorian was in there, which looks like, I think that was the worst opening for any Star Wars box office.
It's also has the worst result. It's not going to even meet the box office level of Solo.
I didn't think Solo was terrible, honestly.
I didn't either. I see a lot of people hate on that movie. I thought it was kind of messy because of the mid-shoot director change that obviously meant that you just had stuff with a completely tonal focus than the rest of the film. I think if you had just left Lord and Miller in charge, you would have had a great. They would have put together a really good movie.
I had no regrets about seeing Solo. This Grogu thing, though, like making it the Katie Sackhoff show and kind of like the bait and switch it I heard. I didn't even see season 4. So like I thought I wanted to see it, and then just the reviews came in so bad. I was like, fuck it, man. I'll just.
It was season 3 you're talking about. There hasn't been a season 4. Basically, the movie is, a lot of people say, is like basically a compressed season 4.
And again, with Star Wars too, it's like I know where they're going to end with this, and it's going to be Luke Skywalker dying like a punk. So until you officially dispel the last 3 movies as canon and you fork the timeline and go into a new interesting place, like I don't care about Star Wars at all anymore. Mandalorian was excellent, season 1, season 2, whatever. But He-Man, the Barbie movie, I thought was very smart and very funny and extremely entertaining across the board. Okay, cool. We understand how to, treat these properties and how to pose it to the millennial Gen X crowd of like, you used to play with these toys and they were great. And, being an adult sucks. Everything's very expensive. You're living through the week, looking forward to the weekend, and then, dreaming about your next vacation. I get it. I'm there. Wouldn't it be great if you go back to your childhood? Like the soul of the movie felt good. It looked amazing. Like I also watched Mortal Kombat 2, and they're very funny like movies compared to each other. It's like Mortal Kombat 2 looked hokey, gory as fuck. By the way, I'm glad I didn't let my kids see that one. That one, fingers getting cut off, heads getting bisected. Like that is a gory goddamn movie. But it looks like it's shot on an iPhone. Like the production quality on it, real hokey. The script and dialogue, great for what they were trying to make. The cheesy stuff worked excellent, nice pacing, whatever. This He-Man movie looked like $1 million. Excellent action sequences. All the stuff there that you would want out of a toy movie. Like all of the toys are in the movie. The ships that are like buzzsaws flying around, those are there. All the goofy casts of character there. Fisto, Ram Man, Mechanic, Moss Man, Trapjaw. Like all these guys are there doing their thing, right? The neck is choking people like a snake on Mechanic. The dialogue and script is terrible. Every single scene is humor, right?
Okay.
There's no serious scenes, maybe 3 serious scenes where they're dealing with like Idris Elba's redemption arc. He was good in the movie, by the way. But everywhere else, it's
many such cases on that.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a fucking star. Just humor at every corner, and I would say they land maybe 5% of the jokes.
That's rough.
It's terrible. And there is so much cringe in the movie that is not handled well. Like there is a way to pose that movie. Like, I don't know, like they didn't focus it enough. It needed 1 or 2 rewrites. And I think they really could, because I think the heart was in the right place and the messaging's good. But it's just a bad script. And Jared Leto, man, talk about after what happened to Tron Ares, you don't see the real Jared Leto face at all. He's Skeletor. You can't hear it in his voice. Like they hid him.
Yeah, what a guy with a very strange career arc. When you think about like all the characters he's tried to play and like all the big swings he's taken at things, and it doesn't never seem to work.
I loved Tron Ares. I thought it was great. I loved Tron Legacy. I was pissed off to see Jared Leto was involved in Tron Ares, but he was like really the driving force of why it happened. My wife has a theory, and I believe, because if you look at him, like he has the most choice, pristine, like if I was to sit here and be like all the movies that I would love to be involved in, Fight Club, Tron, I mean, it just
Blade Runner,
like what? And my wife's right. I guarantee you this guy has fucking blackmail on somebody. like I saw him doing something. I saw this guy doing something to a newborn child. Strangling a baby.
It's like the worst form of blackmail.
So he has top shelf blackmail on somebody, because for all the scandals this guy has been involved in himself and all the bombs that he has been involved in, the fact that he continues to get choice AAA products, high level involvement in, like how he has not been, it is unfathomable.
You would think after Morbius that would have killed his career.
You would think after, the 4th round of accusations or whatever that hit this guy through Me Too, like he is Teflon. And not only does he not go down, he just continues to rise. So But his performance as Skeletor, again, Skeletor, which is like this real jokey character, like all the memes and
He-Man. Yes.
like that's there, just none of it hits. And I don't know like how the script could be this bad. Like how could the test audience sit through that?
I hate to take us on a further. I want to hop on exactly what you're saying because I've had a similar experience. It wasn't we talked about it in the segment. I hadn't planned on talking about this, but I did two things as well. I tried to watch another scripted television show that was made in 2026. I also did actually watch the first episode of Alien Earth, out of obligation to you because you watched the first episode of The Day of the Jackal. And I had the same experience with both, which is that I feel like millennial writing is just absolutely the culprit at the core of all of these terrible creations. The other thing I watched was the first episode of Spider Noir on Amazon Prime with Nicolas Cage. So in both cases, I felt the millennials are just terrible at actually creating the thing that they are intending. They allow too much of their redditized humor, cringe humor, to get into things. And even when they're trying to be serious, like with Alien Earth, they basically feel like they're playing wearing their parents' clothes, and they're walking around and acting like they're adults and they're still children, and they're fucking middle aged, and it's all very strange how infantilized their capacity for creative expression really is. Spider Noir to me was worse. Like I wasn't necessarily expecting much out of Alien. Like I wanted to watch it because you recommended it. It didn't. I can see that it's better than some of the other things that I have been subjected to recently, but it wasn't enough for me to want to watch anymore. And you had a similar reaction to Day of the Jackal. It just wasn't for you, right? Mm-hmm. Like you recognize what it was.
Fair.
Yeah, and I see where this hits for you and what it is, the kinds of things that you like. But Spider Noir to me was worse because they really someone had a creative vision for it and it still failed. Right? Like, okay, we're going to shoot this thing in black and white. It's going to be a big noir story. We're literally going to have Nicolas Cage playing the Humphrey Bogart, Maltese Falcon, Sam Spade character, except he's Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And we're going to tell a whole story about that. And the Sinister Six are all going to be, in this. And instead of using Kingpin, we're going to use Silvermane because Kingpin's a Marvel character. And we're going to, Nicolas Cage is going to go whole ass at just being Sam Spade, except he's Spider-Man. So what could go wrong? And you watch it and it's, we're going to shoot it in black and white, except we're going to shoot it in black and white digitally. So it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like black and white. It looks like digital photography. And when you have actual black and white footage in your black and white shot show and you can see the difference, it's like, I didn't shoot this on film. So it doesn't look right. So you got that fail. Second, the CG effects are terrible in black and white, and just they look even worse than they would in color. So your whole shtick here about trying to do something interesting with the digital photography sucks. Then you get to the actual plot. Nicolas Cage, he's great. He's doing the thing that he came here to do, right? He's an expert. He's an artist. This man is beyond acting, right? He can do whatever he wants, and it's always arresting. Except everything built around him is written by these cringe millennials who don't know the genre they're writing for. So the secretary sounds like a Reddit post, sounds like a modern person talking, using modern argot, using modern slang, even though it's supposed to be in the 1930s. You decide to have Black Hat be the femme fatale, which is a really great idea, except you diversity cast. And so you got to she's like a wet paper bag. And you're really just leaning entirely on Brendan Gleeson, which I get because he's awesome, and Nicolas Cage, your boomer actors, to carry this thing. And every time it tried to build momentum in a scene, the millennial writing basically inserted itself and took you right out of it. And it was the most frustrating sort of roller coaster to ride trying to watch that show. And I got off and I'm like, this is fucking terrible. There's no fixing this because it's the people at the core don't have the talent to do this shit anymore. And what movie did you like? You watched a fucking Zoomer. You watched a Zoomer who had a fucking idea, who developed his own creative voice and put it on screen. And then you watched a bunch of cringe millennials make a toy movie and it was bad.
It's stuff we've talked about before that eventually IPs outlive their creators for one reason or another. And the people who inherit it most of the time can't handle it properly, and you look at Star Trek, you look at Star Wars,
Yeah.
and you need to turn your attention to new stuff where, again, the creator is present, and they know what they're doing with the property, and they do great things with it.
All right. Well, speaking of great things, let's talk about Star Trek finally. What did we watch this week?
Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 16, Bar Association, first aired February 19th, 1996. Story by Barbara Lee and Jennifer Lee, teleplay by
Sisters.
Ira Stephen Bear, Robert Hewitt Wolf, directed by LeVar Burton.
I laughed more watching this episode than maybe any episode of Star Trek we've reviewed so far. Only Bride of Chaotica may have competed with it, but this made me laugh more because since I first watched this, I have a job where I do labor negotiations. And some of this just hits so much better than it did before. This apparently was supposed to be a B plot that they just couldn't figure out a way to do with the amount of depth they wanted. Then they turned it into its own episode and created a different B plot to go along with it. That's how this was made. And I'm so happy for it. It is a fantastic slice of life, good times episode for Deep Space Nine specifically.
This is an amazing... Is this Ferengi nonsense?
This is Ferengi nonsense, absolutely. This is a Quark and Rom story.
I would say let's put this at the top of the Ferengi nonsense pile.
Agreed. This is the best one so far.
The deep world building that something like this does for Star Trek, intentionally or unintentionally, and the impact that something like this would come to have on Star Trek as a property moving forward, right? This is the economy of the 24th century. This is, money was never supposed to be the focus of Star Trek. Star Trek's a show about Starfleet, usually. It's about people in space pajamas banding together through the power of friendship and common sense and overcoming space dilemmas, right?
Sure.
You have a hard time telling stories about Earth because not a lot of thought was put by Roddenberry. That wasn't the focus.
Starfleet was in space. Yeah.
Starfleet wasn't even the focus. It was the Enterprise out there, and you had what was on your ship, and you had to get the job done with that. It was kind of MacGyver in certain ways. Like, there was not a greater resource pool to take from. You had to get it done yourself. And over the course of Next Gen, you had a throwaway line here and there. The one where they find, like season 1 or season 2, where they find the people in the cryogenic satellite.
Mark Helmo playing the asshole, as he later does full time on Deep Space Nine.
So the rich asshole, I could buy this, and there's a throwaway line by Picard that, like, we don't have money anymore. And all of the conjecture that brings with it. And, today in 2026, there's a big chunk of the fan base that says, all right, well, the Federation's kind of like this communist wet dream. Money's been replaced. What are the motivations for the people that go into space? Because clearly it's not money. What would make people stay at home when there's fantastic things? And I think the property's done a great job, as we saw with like Homefront. Like, what does the civilian population look like? Why would they still show up and go to work?
They're taking something that wasn't built on the best foundation, and they're still managing to make those early utterances work without contradicting them.
It flies.
Yeah.
And then you get stuff like the Orville that I think brings in like this social credit and experience and prestige. Like, it all makes sense. You don't need to sit there and be explicit. And then you get like Feral Historian really breaking finances down. And it's like, all right.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. Feral Historian just did another Star Trek episode. That's amazing. You cannot watch it because there's a huge Deep Space Nine spoiler that I don't want you to see in it. Okay. Once we get there, I'll tell you and you can watch it. But he even breaks down everything you're talking about, how Star Trek represents yesterday's progressivism. And like the Orville actually does a better job of creating a real version of what it is that Star Trek tries to accomplish with its no money utopia, where, when it's like explained, if you work for the betterment of society, you're rich, right? Like reputation is the currency rather than money. But I highly recommend for everyone who's not Peter, who isn't, isn't going to suffer from Deep Space Nine spoilers, to watch that video. Uses a lot of home front, by the way, in it. I don't know if that was probably a coincidence that we just reviewed him, but I know he listens.
A lot of conjecture as to what the status of the Federation and Earth and currency and whatever. Obviously, the Ferengi have been created as a antithesis of that, where it is still thriving capitalism. And then you get this episode here that you're saying is basically supposed to be a B plot, and very heavily focuses on these egalitarian Federation ideals as they intersect with explicit capitalism out of the Ferengi. What's the Ferengi government called? Not the Ferengi Trade Union.
The Ferengi Commerce Authority.
Right. And I think a lot of modern Trek, I don't know what you want to say, pro-communist rhetoric or what. I feel like a lot of it might have been just explicitly born out of this episode.
Well, this episode to me is a fantastic comedic entry because of the ways in which the Federation ideals start like accidentally sort of asserting themselves into what is a non-Federation dispute in ways that I don't know if they were intended to be as funny as they are, but absolutely I think were. Like, all of this is because of a casual Prime Directive violation by Dr. Bashir of like, you should form a union. like the idea is born of the Federation just accidentally, and some officer inserting himself into this to say, "Oh, Rom, you should form a union." And then later on, like as this goes on, and like the scene where Bashir is treating O'Brien's cyst again, like the small stuff. It's all slice of life, right? Like everyone's just going about their day. It's fucking Bajoran Ramadan, so no one's at the bar. People are just doing shit. Like the Defiant just came back from a mission. Nothing's going on right now, right? And he's getting his treatment for a cyst, and Rom comes in and like further wants to talk about this union idea. And Bashir clearly is like, I may have stepped in. I may have started something a little bit here. But O'Brien's like, no, fuck it. Unionize. Let me tell you about my ancestor who got shot 32 times and dumped in the Allegheny River. That's a union man. Like, it's like shit like that throughout, where like Quark gets called into Cisco's office and is like, I don't understand your culture, but I understand I'm your landlord. Like, it's just the way they were able to make this concept of the Federation sort of being above this, and yet they're still fucking with it because they have cultural superiority and they feel it is, I thought, hilarious the way they play it. And they play it for purposeful laughs too.
I'm putting this right there with, was it Civil Defense?
Yeah.
Right? Which you maintained was a comedy episode. And, there were some humorous stuff. Like, this felt, it was a lighter hearted episode. I wasn't like LOL at any of this stuff, but I thought it was all very deep and impactful.
Oh yeah. No, it says, because I was deeply amused by it and thought it was funny doesn't mean it didn't have a point. But I felt like it is a lot like Civil Defense. The humor in it is so perfect.
It is perfect. It doesn't detract from what the message is. And again, just the amount of world building that Civil Defense did, they're doing here, and they're holding mirrors up to each other. There's great brotherly interplay between these two guys. Letting some of the other members of Bar's or Quark's staff talk. What's the one little guy's name? It's not.
You're gonna have to be a little more specific.
He's come up a few other times, right?
So the other guys who got to talk are obviously, other than Rom and Lita, Grimp and Fruel are the other.
Grimp's maybe the one I was thinking of.
Grimp is the little tiny one, yeah, and then Fruel is like the old one.
Do you think that this is a Prime Directive issue here? I mean, they're a post-warp society. They're heavily integrated into the galactic.
Yeah, it's not like a hard violation because, they're a spacefaring civilization, which is what's supposed to be the hard barrier. But this is clearly Federation cultural contamination for sure.
And that's the most interesting part of this entire episode to me, because this is the Founders' fear in motion. This is a post-warp society. This is a heavily integrated into the larger galactic picture. They have been able to maintain a cultural adhesion well enough, but now with enough prolonged contact to Federation ideals, they have been able to contaminate a previously airtight society, Ferengi commercial culture, and bring about what they view as catastrophic ruin. And like, this is why the Founders view the Federation as the threat. Like, no, we're not trying to come with guns and ships and bring down your borders and take your worlds, but our ideals are so dangerous to what you are as an institution that we need to violently react at the highest levels.
Yeah, we're going to change you, whether you want it or not.
We're not just going to beat you. Yeah, exactly. We're going to change. We're going to salt the earth. Literally.
I feel like this episode also finally like makes Rom, like, I really enjoy also from the on the serious side how this elevates Rom and changes Rom and Quark's relationship in a way that makes a lot of sense for them and builds on the Moogie's Millions family business from last season, where these two are they're brothers, they love each other, but it's like very Ferengi, and Rom actually takes initiative in this case to separate himself from Quark and his business so that he can maintain his relationship with his brother, which I like that that's where the episode ends, to say like, I did this thing. I demonstrated that I actually can kind of do whatever I want. I can act independently of you. I don't need you to like always take care of me, but I do need to not do what you're doing, because that's not good for me, and it's not good for our relationship. I need to be a customer, and you need to be my brother rather than me being your employee.
What a un-Voyager thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, what a deep and meaningful, persistent change for the better. What excellent character growth. Episode starts off with a great scene, and that is O'Brien and it's Bashir, who do they ever appear independently of each other in this, or are they just a buddy duo this entire episode?
O'Brien and Bashir. It starts with Dax and Worf on the Defiant.
Oh yeah, well,
so like the B plot of just in case you missed it last week or whatever, we're definitely pairing these two up, and Worf is the one playing hard to get. And they're pulling in the Defiant. They just got a mission done. And really, the B plot is about Worf really not liking living on Deep Space Nine because it's a chaotic mess, and he doesn't like chaotic messes. And after you get started on that B plot, which has a couple great scenes, and I think it does add to the episode, specifically the post barfight interrogation in the brig, and Odo apparently having a pad he had waiting for him from the moment that Worf said something about how his space station is more chaotic than the Enterprise, which I think is the greatest Odo is a shithead and ready for anything move I've ever seen.
That
like, think about that. Odo was like, something this motherfucker is going to come to me and say, I don't run this place as good as the Enterprise. And I'm going to have a laundry list of all of the bullshit that the Enterprise got up to. And I'm going to throw it in his face. I'm going to have it sitting right here for that when he comes in. I've got an
iPad, and there is a tab open with this list ready. It's
a tab
very
open of the Enterprise greatest hits. I'm going to throw it in his face until he says uncle.
Well, let's talk about the B plot real quick.
Okay.
So, hey, I'm turning you on to this Meklar, whatever, can opener sword instead of the Batleth. Hey, I think I'm getting pretty good at it. Yeah, I've noticed. Well, you don't say anything. Well, warriors shouldn't need,
Yeah, we're flirting. Praise. We're flirting. Get used to it.
The ship can do better. The Defiant's pretty great, but, we can squeeze better efficacy out of it. And I like them reinforcing that Worf is the Defiant captain guy and that Sisko stays on the ship.
Yeah.
Or on the station.
It's giving him a more defined role. I also like the way he talks about how I'm not denigrating Chief O'Brien, actually complimenting that he's gotten it this far, but this far is not perfect, and I'm supposed to make it perfect. So we're gonna make it perfect because we got to fight wars in this thing. Like,
We got
yeah,
to fight
okay,
wars
cool.
in this thing, and just this, what you said, like I continue to be surprised the level of attention the DS9 scripts put on the USS Enterprise, and the moments that O'Brien and Worf get to share and reminisce
Yeah,
and compare and contrast the two TV shows to each other. I think those are all handled very well and very interesting.
and you
There's
would
a
it naturally it has to happen. That's how they know each other. They have the shared experience. If you were like, if this happened in the real world where you're like, you served with a guy on a ship that was a big deal, and now you're kind of on something that's not a big deal, and you're serving again together. You know that guy, you hang out with him a little bit, and you talk about the good old days and the comparisons of your current circumstances against now. Like, if you didn't have them doing that, it would be weird, right?
it would be weird, but again, this is a world where Nick Locarno had to have his name changed to Tom Paris because we don't want to talk about old stuff. Like, it makes sense. It's great to see. I enjoy it. It's still, there's just something about this coming out of Trek that like it stands out to me. Um, you know, O'Brien saying this is Cardassian Bajoran and Federation technology mishmash here. None of it was ever meant to work together. Things worked great on the Enterprise, but I was bored. I would just
Yeah.
sit around that transporter room praying for something to break because I was so fucking bored. Here, I'm needed. I'm a guy, and that ties into the stuff we were talking about. Why are people in Starfleet? You could live comfortably and have a great life on Earth. This is a personality type that is enlisting because they want challenge. There is a desire for hardship. This is a choice to live on the frontier and not be comfortable. So yeah, this is a great place for me. The talk of Worf enjoying order ties in great back to the episode where Odo's, the sad Odo episode, right?
Oh yeah.
And they have this moment like, I like my quarters to be perfect, and I hate when people show up and disrupt my flow. Like, I'm having a hard time with the Odo Worf rivalry. Like, it makes for some fun little shitty scenes here and there, but like these guys, they seem like they should jive really well. And it seems like there's been enough like bridge building moments that they should be past these little flare ups. But I guess I can just look at them and say, well, they're fun scenes, and I can accept the fact that, the writers are
They're also
keeping that there.
like, just because they are getting along doesn't mean that they don't continue to have tension in their relationship because of their circumstances and their clashing personalities, right? Like, yeah, Worf did Odo a big favor. Odo then did Worf a favor. We kind of want those moments to bridge a little bit better. But I just like the idea that Odo overall, when Worf came on board, he's like, this guy was chief of security on the flagship. I'm going to be perfectly ready for the moment he tries to throw that in my face. That's going to happen. It's inevitable that it's going to happen, no matter who this man is. I have to be ready. I will have the tab open right
I
here.
think it's a mark of immaturity on Odo, that it's a self-confidence issue of like, man, this guy is going to criticize everything I do. This guy was great at his job. He had a very prestigious job, and everything that I'm going to be doing is going to be scrutinized by him. And it's come up enough times that, okay, motherfucker, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to find your fail points, and I'm going to have it ready to go. And that's again, a very juvenile thing to me. Like, I do have a list of gripes ready to go.
Well, it's not
Adults,
juvenile. I think it reflects what, like, Paradise Lost, right? Like, he's good at the vampire game. He's good at the being Detective Odo. He's good at understanding the weakness of solids, right? That's why he likes his job, is that he takes this critical eye to everything everyone does around him, and he understands everyone's actions and motivations. And is it because he's immature in his own understanding of himself and his sense of self? Yes. But him being ready to diffuse Worf's argument by giving demonstrative evidence that actually his ship was just as chaotic, if not more so in some ways, as Deep Space Nine, in order to lower his anger and get him to understand him. I don't think that's immature at all. I think that's understanding exactly the circumstance you're going to wind up in. Now,
I don't
could
know.
he take a little perverse glee in it that suggests a touch of immaturity? Sure. But that's actually more human of him than anything else.
I would understand him having a file and having to pull the file up. But again, taking the script at face value and everything being intentional, him having that pad just open, laying on the
Ready.
table. Like I get in a fight with my wife here and there, and like, there'll be an accusation, like we'll win. It's like, I don't keep a list of this stuff. I'm not that petty. I'm not a child. I personally, I think this is just another reflection of Odo is still a child and immature in a lot of ways, while also being incredibly thorough and vindictive. So,
what is not petty is the ear infection that apparently Rom has.
Well, let's just go through the rest of the B plot, because the way that this all resolves by the end, minus the bar fight, is we end on this note of like, Worf isn't leaving Starfleet. Worf knows he needs to be there. All of this Klingon shit's popping off. None of it's really mentioned here, but like, he's ruined his house at this point over this Gowron discommendation because he went back the Cardassia warplay. So like, Worf really can't quit at this point. He has brought great personal ruin. He's just mind wiped his own brother and sent him off into a fake life, right? Because he ruined this guy's life so bad. For him to leave Starfleet or leave Deep Space Nine would be such a dereliction of duty and shirking of obligation to see this thing through, that like, I like that he's clearly unhappy, but he is unwilling to walk away from it. He has an obligation now, right?
He has to finish what he started.
Yeah, there's a need for him to be there for the greater good. And he also, personally, that's part of it too, right? Everything we just said about that last episode, Worf needs to suffer. Everyone else is suffering because of his actions. He absolutely has to suffer as well. But he's going to try and mitigate it. And by the end, it's like, all right, there's a lot of rough corners to this station. I miss the Enterprise. I miss the Order. I miss the uniformity.
The monk-like sterility. Like he needs nothing. Like he's a kind of a monk element to Worf. Like what was he doing before he got called into Deep Space Nine? He was with the monks on Borath, right? He's very spiritually Klingon religious, which is uncommon in their culture, but still quite present. And him wanting to be separated from all of that so he can have his sort of area of meditative solitude makes a lot of sense for his character. And it is Jadzia, of course, that is constantly challenging him and trying to bring him out of that, because he knows that eventually he just has to come to an end. He can't do this forever. Now is fine, but this is where their plot ties up to say, like, you're going to have to adjust to this place.
Is Worf low-key a space racist?
I don't think it's low-key. He's openly pretty space racist. He doesn't like Ferengi. We know that.
He grew up on Earth as the only Klingon, right? So he is the representative of his culture he is the minority. He gets through Starfleet, which has a very high code of conduct and agreed upon, this is what is acceptable practice. He gets on the Enterprise, which is the idealized version of all Federation and all Starfleet, right? It's a collection of diversity, but everybody is marching to the same beat. And then he ends up, touching Klingon culture, and that's never really great. Now here he is on a space gas station, and it is the worst of the worst. And this is an episode about like the rules do not get followed. People are burglaring his quarters. He can't like he is being confronted with just all of this stuff he doesn't like, and there is no attempt on any side to like reach this mutual. You're just getting people at their lowest, and he can't cope to it, with the point where he's like, I'm moving out of this neighborhood and I'm going to try to return to the closest analog to the Enterprise, which is the Defiant, and I will live in a Starfleet cabin and just have my little apartment outside of the ghetto, basically.
Yes.
Of Deep Space Nine.
I'm in my cloister, yeah.
And it's this weird line they end on of like, you're going to have to adjust us. Well, maybe you guys are going to have to adjust to me. So I'll be curious to see where like that plot line kind of ends up going.
Oh, and shout out to Berlinghoff Rasmussen. Just
Literally.
such a great choice of the nonsense that Odo gets out. That scene.
Speaking of Nick Locarno, like the fucking choice, they call out Burlington, and then what's the other one?
Daimon Lurin. So that would have been
Frankie
Rascals.
Yep.
Yeah, it would have been Rascals. What a great episode to bring up for the Star Trek fans. Like everyone loved that one.
So
Not
meanwhile, on the I liked Rascals on the Enterprise. I'm sorry, on the Quark's bar. His brother's got an ear infection. He's trying to pour fucking hydrogen peroxide in his ear. Passes out. He's had a terrible ear infection that's been going on 3 weeks. That could have killed him. But the contracts that everybody signed, which are standardized Ferengi labor contracts, prohibit basically no sick time, no vacation, no call
and you're not allowed
offs.
to take time away from work, yeah, unless you get permission.
And that's where, Bashir's like, maybe you should form a union. And it puts this bug in his ear. And the Bajoran Ramadan has made Quark's bar a graveyard, and profits are down. So Quark comes up with the idea. And again, is Quark really a bad guy, or is Quark trying to be a good guy living in a bad world? Rather than lay people off, he's made the decision that he is going to cut everybody's wages so that the hardship is felt across the board, but nobody has to be let go. Which I, as an upper manager, understand what he's doing there. It's hard to tell people, you will make no money now, or we have to let you go. But they're able to vilify him by saying, okay, well, once things go back to normal, that money's going to come back, right? And Quark's like, I don't know. COVID, we see what the worst we can get away with being is before people revolt, and that's what the new hours are going to be. That's what the new pricing is going to be. That's going to be the new way of life, right?
We see a lot of Lita, which we haven't. It's the only episode in season 4 she's actually in. She factors in a lot more in season 5, 6, and 7. So Chase Masterson has returned as I think they very clearly like set her up as Rom's foil here and figure out very early on that they're going to put them together as a consequence of this episode. Whatever is going on between Chase Masterson and Max Fronchek, that they have this chemistry of this, beauty and this kind of oafish tech doofus. I don't know what else to call Rom. And then they kind of get this sweet chemistry together between their characters, and they're like, this is we're gonna do this. This is good. You can see like they got it right off the bat with them, and they have the idea of the fact that Lita is with Bashir at the moment to try and build some relationship drama into the future. I did like that, like all the shitty comments that Quark makes about like, I know you're intimately familiar with Dr. Bashir, but it doesn't make it so that you can make medical diagnoses. Like, I know you're fucking the doctor, girl, but shut the fuck up.
Bashir and O'Brien again paired as the comedy duo through this. I love that it starts with them going to LARP in some Viking versus Celt war where O'Brien's like, I have a family connection to this guy.
Which is true. O'Brien is his last name. It says of that the clan of that king. So yeah, he probably is a direct blood descendant of the High King of Ireland.
Later to be a direct blood descendant of this labor union guy. So that's a fun ongoing joke for that. And it's a pretty, straightforward situation of like Rom trying to, advocate on behalf of the staff and say, listen, this is what you're doing is wrong, brother. Please make some reconsiderations. And Quark digs his heels in and says, I'm in charge. I've got these airtight contracts. This is the way it's going to be. And sure enough, the union comes into fruition.
We do have our first and apparently only reference to masturbation in all of Star Trek when Rom, admits to Self-Oomax shamefully. And it's actually like treated like that's what he just confessed to when she says it to Lita, and then even Quark makes a comment about it. Like, this is where the humor lives, is in shit like this, right? Like, just taking seriously the implications that we have seen and heard in the past. We're gonna deliver on them.
They start talking unions, and all of the Ferengi instantly know the full scope of gravity of what they're talking about. Like, these are cardinal sins.
Yeah, this is actually a religious violation because they treat their commerce as part of their spiritual life.
Exactly what happens in this episode is brought up immediately after Rom says Union. It's you're going to get liquidators that are going to show up, and this is going to be a crusade. And why would we move forward on this? And I think Rom is able to make some pretty good acting, impassioned speeches here as to the level of injustice and the importance at a personal level for everyone involved to dig their heels in and fight this thing. And I like seeing what the reaction of the station with its Federation leaning ideals is as they erect these picket lines. I like Quark turning to photonic holodeck characters as,
Yeah, replace them with AI if you can, sure.
but apparently tricorders fuck them up.
Because it's cut rate.
I like Odo not being thrilled about the idea of mobs being active on the station, which the last time we saw that they were trying to lynch him or burn him or whatever the hell was going on there.
I also love that like Rom gives these impassioned speeches and quotes Karl Marx and all of this stuff. And they play his advocacy straight, but the actor isn't not Rom while he's doing it, right? He just comes off as this kind of still goofy, gangly, kind-hearted doofus of a character, but he is genuinely trying to do this for the quote unquote right reasons. And there's something about him saying, "Workers of the world, unite, you have nothing but to lose your chains," that is just inherently comedic coming from him. You know, of he's discovering the idea of communism in real time, and he's super taken by it.
Sure. And I mean, from again, tying back into all the stuff with the Dominion, like you are giving people a taste of something radically different than what they've been brought up by. For the Ferengi, it's here's absolute capitalism. For the Dominion, it's here's absolute fear. And now Federation, hope, and ideal, and the dangers that present. And that's, again, communicated through Bashir and O'Brien. O'Brien has a cyst on his neck, which, you know, something I've dealt with cysts before. And like the idea of having your BFF is also the guy you have to do all of your medical secrecy through, like, very strange dynamic that I appreciate.
He knows every embarrassing secret about you.
And gives you shit about it too. Like the pushback that
as a good friend would. You know? That's how you know they're boys.
It's during the lancing procedure on the CIS that Rom comes in and starts talking more Union, and that's where O'Brien's like, you're going to have to be ready to like strike, and things are going to have to get real. And here's a little story about my other ancestor who is this great Union man. And I'm like, whoa. We're talking Western Pennsylvania with your Irish accent. Like, are you from Ireland or are you from fucking PA here, buddy? Like, what is the family tree exactly?
That was a cousin, you know, it branches off. Some of them went to America, and, you know, like any good Irish mine worker in the late and early 20th century got shot for his trouble.
Like, I think my
very real.
I think my headcanon's going to be in the wake of him being shot, they returned to Ireland. Or maybe like that was a choice made in that it's an authentic Irish accent. Or then I'm thinking like, do people get to like have DLC for the Universal Translator and they get to like have voice of, you know, I've always wanted to, we were born in Pennsylvania, but you know, we're Irish in origin. We've made the family decision that we are going to appropriate the accent in our Universal Translator. And that's what people will hear us as.
The comedy of the episode takes another step up when two things happen. One, when Sisko starts to get annoyed by this whole strike because O'Brien and Worf have an argument over Worf deciding to still go to Quark's and sponsor his establishment that is totally off screen, and they start to get into a bit of a shoving match, and then Bashir stands in the middle and gets thrown across the table. And the three of them are in the brig. Fucking Bashir has a gash on his head that's still bleeding. And Worf and O'Brien are like, it wasn't actually that big a deal. Like, we were just speaking as men do, aggressive warrior men who have killed people. And Bashir got in the fucking middle, and he's a sensitive baby who got accidentally thrown across something by the men who have, choked the life out of people and, watched the light die in their eyes. And it just got a little out of hand.
Man, like, have you ever seen Worf put hands on another Starfleet officer over something petty? Have you ever seen O'Brien start shoving people? Like, O'Brien's gone off the rails, specifically when the Jem'Hadar were trying to get Julian to undo their drug addiction to Ketracel White. But, like, I get it's a comedy episode. The idea that a non-commissioned officer is putting hands on an executive, a high
it's
rank.
A Worf. It's like they know each other. They're comfortable with each other. And the point is, you don't see the fight. You just, the comedy beat is that it's just the aftermath, and O'Brien and Worf are fine. And it's Bashir who's got the shit kicked out of him accidentally.
They're going too crazy with Worf. On one hand, I love the B plot where he is not fitting in and he's having to struggle with his place in this chaotic hell he has trapped himself in and needs to be in. But then it's like, okay, I'm talking to you as Sisko. You're in the fucking brig for fighting other Starfleet officers. Literally last episode, you murdered your fucking brother. Like, dude, my dude.
Some jokes are just jokes. Sometimes it's just because it's a joke, man. Like, they wanted to have the comedy beat be that Bashir got in the middle of the two most aggressive men on the station, aside from Sisko, and he wound up with a head wound and thrown across the table, and now everyone's in trouble.
Leaves him in the pokey overnight.
Yeah, like, sleep it off, boys. I'll see you tomorrow. Fuck.
The other scene with Sisko that is excellent, and it's Sisko blackmails Quark again.
Oh, so good.
This shit's causing us problems. I know exactly how to deal with your kind. And this is a Sisko that's like softer to the idea of Ferengi now, right? Like, Sisko used to be openly bigoted towards it. This is a guy that just sponsored a fucking Ferengi to go into Starfleet. That was critical in him foiling the entire latent conspiracy, right? Hey, I have used your nephew as blackmail to keep you on the station, and now there's something I want, and we're going to talk about what a sweet deal you have. I'm your landlord. I do not charge you rent. I don't charge you an electricity bill. You get free maintenance. And you're over here splitting hairs over income. I'm going to start charging you back rent, and I will financially destroy you, or you can go and make this stop right now because this is disrupting. Somehow this has become the this is our 2 weeks of vacation against plot, and now I'm dealing with like low scale rioting, basically. So like, unfuck this.
Unfuck this now, please. I know we've had adventures together, Quark. We met a Vorta together. I made it so that I got your ass out of that situation. Like, you've saved the station at least one time. There's a lot of credit.
A photon torpedo that was stuck in my ship I built.
Like, we get along. But, brother, I am your landlord, and I will destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just they're staring at each other, and he's like, do you know how much latinum that is? And he's like, I really appreciate, just they're staring at each other. Neither of them are backing down, but he's acknowledging, like, yes, I will go talk to my brother. I'm glad we agree. Yes, this has been a very good conversation. Like, yeah, got it. Understood. I understand. No more fucking around.
Armin Shimmer is the powerhouse straight man through all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Very complex character. This is a guy who does want to have financial gain, who has been afflicted with this religious observation that's killed income for the past month, who does have his brother's, the safety of his brother in mind. This is a guy who understands this talk with Sisko here about how Sisko will absolutely employ rent and like add this financial burden. But most importantly, he understands the far-reaching implications of what this union can mean to the personal safety of everyone involved, and that the Ferengi trade union or the Ferengi Alliance will send people in to stomp this fucking thing out because it is such a radical danger to the way of life that they have subscribed to. And this is Quark, who lives away from Fregnar. He observes Ferengi traditions, but this is a guy who's chosen not to be first party to it, to have this enclave of weirdos that he shepherds and protects. His brother that's very clearly not a good Ferengi, his nephew that is straight up going fucking Starfleet now, and keeping this bubble intact of safety around them as the fucking Grand Nagus rolls through left and right.
Right, and asks him to do favors. He acts as his proxy. Like, Quark, we've established through previous episodes, has a level of morality to him that is uncommon amongst other Ferengi, but still not wholly a Federation ideal. And it's well handled here of that he's still very much kind of a product of his environment. He is a capitalist Ferengi. He believes in it. He doesn't ever really stop believing in it, but it's with limits. It's with an understanding for, oh shit, like now we're in a situation where there's real problems. I'm not going to be able to win this conflict the way that I want to. I've got Cisco breathing down my back. And then Jeffrey Combs shows up. Like, then Liquidator Brunt shows up with 2 Naussicans and makes it clear from the beginning that killing Rom is the plan, right? We are going to solve this problem by any means necessary. And even that gets, what as serious as it is, gets played for some amazing laughs, right? Like, there's a scene when they're hanging out in Quark's bar and the 2 Naussicans are in the back throwing darts at each other. Just in the background while the conversation's happening. It's like, that looks like it hurts. It probably does. Just, these 2 people are here to kill people. That's it. They're dumb Nausican thugs that exist only for murder. And we're here. They keep, when Brunt gives the speech to the strikers and says, if we're on Ferengar, you would be public, every single one of you would be publicly executed and people would be betting on where your bodies land when we threw you off the tower. Like, that's Ferengi society as it relates to this question.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the stakes they're playing at.
And Rom is unbothered by that.
The last time we saw Brunt was Moogie's Millions, and how do they blackmail him into leaving? Like, he's got some sort of weird culpability in the crime by the end, doesn't he?
They play on the idea that he would not want to be known as somebody who is outfoxed by a woman. So they play into the misogyny of the society, that in order to satisfy the idea that Moogie had to give up some of her ill-gotten wealth, but they were able to hide a significant portion of it from him, or at least Rom and Moogie were, and that he would look no further because he got his win, and that he can exit the situation he's clearly uncomfortable with. So it wasn't that they blackmailed him; they just manipulated
him. And we could sit here and say maybe that's something that, as he goes, how do we hurt your brother's cause and diffuse it, because it is this esoteric threat to our way of life. Ultimately, they decide to beat up Quark, but he could have been like, I'll kill your mom. Your mama's boy. We could do that. I like that they don't. I like that to keep the action focused on that, and with his followers. I like that some of the people like fold in the group. And again, there's like a very real way. Like, the Ferengis are for laughs race in DS9, but it's still, I think they do a good job establishing impact. And you go, all right, we are completely unscrupulous. I'm here advocating your cause, which is getting your workers back in order, but you're the one that caused this with poor management and your inability to control the contracts you're holding. So we're going to beat the fuck out of you, and we're going to crack your skull and really fuck you up bad. And it's going to be a clear message. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, so Brunt and these Naussicans just fucked Quark up, who is often like the rogue accompanying the boss on these missions. Like, and Odo doesn't do anything about this. And they're like, oh, Odo's got him in the holding cells now. Oh, okay, we've covered our bases. he's in the holding cell, but without Quark pressing charges, apparently on the station you can just assault people, and if there's not an objection, it's fine.
Crime doesn't exist if the person who got it committed against them, doesn't acknowledge it.
Oh, those Bajoran rules. Very, very funny, I guess.
So I like that scene there. Quark authentically says, of course I'm scared of the art of the Ferengi Commerce Authority. They just broke my eye socket, right? I just got the shit kicked out of me by Naussicans. I nearly died. If Odo had not walked by when he did, that may have been what happened. Why wouldn't I fucking be afraid of people like that? You should be afraid of them too. They did this to me to try to get you to give up. And
that's like the important part of all this to me is like, there is a concern about profits, but like once they start saying union, like again, Quark is like, you're going to get yourself killed. I'm worried about my brother. You are playing with fire right now, and it is going to go everywhere. And like the whole I'm in sickbay, like Rom laughing at him, I think paints Rom in a bad picture, which again, we can go back and say, of course you're laughing at me. You tried to kill me twice in season 1. But I care about you. I just took a bad ass beating, and it's you I'm worried about here. They're going to kill you. And they're probably going to kill me too. Like, we are alpha level threats to this way of life. Please stop.
And that's why I feel like the ending really works, because it's Rom acknowledging that Quark is right. I have to separate myself from this life because I hate this and I don't want to be a part of it anymore. Right. And what's the best way I can make sure the Ferengi Commerce Authority never comes down on you over me again? Well, I'm working for the Bajorans now. I'm a Bajoran tech. I live on Deep Space Nine. That's it. I'm a customer here, and I'm your brother, but I'm no longer part of the system. That way, it doesn't have authority over me. That's how I'll solve the problem.
2 defections out of the Quark household, one into Starfleet, the other into Bajoran, whatever, which will eventually
Bajoran
become
militia, essentially, yeah.
Which will become Starfleet. I think that uniform he ends up in looks really good on him. It's nice to see them putting like some nice effort into other people's wardrobes. And Quark knows it's for the best. And, I think it's it's an interesting and it's a good place for them to leave their relationship. And it's interesting too, because we just had this conversation of like, is Eddington? Is Eddington the right choice to use as the backup engineering guy to O'Brien? No, it's Rom. And like, what a great way to further that by formalizing him as a maintenance guy on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, and you can use him more and use him with O'Brien specifically. And that's like a combination that feels like it could really work too, right? When you think about it, you've got 2 guys who are kind of like dirt under their fingernails, low-key tech geniuses that are good at hot wiring and using the available things to them to do things that are otherwise difficult.
Mm-hmm. Do we get a lot of that? Because I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, he sticks in this role for the rest of the show. Like, perfect. This is what Rom does. He's a local maintenance technician. He's a local break fix man, and he definitely gets into some nonsense as a consequence of that, and works with O'Brien. He ultimately works with his son. Like, it's part of his story.
I like it.
So it's funny though that you liked the episode, but you did not nearly find it as funny as I did. I couldn't stop laughing. I laughed at the steering comedic level of absurdity from the management position. I laughed at all of these newborn communists discovering Karl Marx, like they've discovered the 10 Commandments, and are like in awe of these ideas. I love the casual Federation interference up to and including O'Brien like aggressively wanting there to be a labor dispute. And I felt like the Worf stuff resolved nicely. This is a funny episode.
Really, I mean, it's him continuing down a difficult path and not working to make himself better, but to like maintain his problem. These slice of life episodes, and that's exactly what this is, as you said.
Yeah.
Especially, it seems like if you're going to do a slice of life, they always opt to make it comedic somehow, like Data's Day. And again, seeing how these very humanizing moments live in this very alien place of a world of tomorrow, they're just massive for world building, and I appreciate them. And I think I'm not really laughing at the stuff because I'm busy thinking about greater implications to this very full universe of lore that they've created. So that was a great one, man.
What are we watching next week?
Season 4, episode 17, Ascension. This is Les Landau direction. This is written by Jan Espenson. A 300-year-old Bajorn ship comes through the wormhole, and its passenger claims that he is the emissary of the prophets.
Got to revisit this whole Cisco is Space Moses thing a little bit. It's been a while. So it's a good episode for it, though. It's interesting. I feel like it has a lot of texture to the Bajoran religion and spiritual circumstances. And, speaks to what you just said, honestly, about like it makes the world richer and more detailed and more interesting. That's what this episode's good for. So I look forward to watching it with you, sir. And thank all of you out there who are listening to us continue to review this.
Well, quick, for the record, did Worf add or detract from this episode?
Oh, I think he added to it.
I think he added.
I talked to actually, it's funny you bring that up. I talked to my friend who is a fan of our show that came up with this idea, and he's already admitting defeat. He's like, he's already saying to me, like, you're right. Now that you're like going through it this way and you're identifying Worf's actual contributions, it's not, I said that because I resented that something that was so amazing in season 3 had to like change to accommodate adding Worf to it, without appreciating that the changes actually ends up adding to the stories in a way that it otherwise, like, it's just an element it otherwise wouldn't have that expands the scope and breadth of the stories being told.
There's also a quality to Worf's interaction in this stuff that is legitimizing, because Deep Space Nine will always be compared to Next Generation, and having a character in there actively doing that on screen and warming up to it.
Also, Michael Dorn is just putting everything into this in a way he didn't necessarily have the chance to do on TNG, because he was so much of a more background player. Yeah. Like he's bringing a maturity to his performance that's so different than what he was able to do in TNG, because he's with people who want to do that with him.
And frankly, saving the Jadzia Dax character by bringing him in. You're not just getting one good character, you're getting two good characters, because he is pulling her out of frequent irrelevancy and giving her situations that Terry Farrell is able to absolutely crush, and that the writers finally understand like what's a good way to use this character here, where she's not like this half-conscious space continuum of personalities. And also too, like, she can be Jadzia and it is not goofy Dax Trill nonsense. And I think that's something that I never really had my finger on before. Like, she was a boring character because she was just a shtick. And she was a good character when she was with Kieran Reese, because she was able to interact in that moment and be her character instead of represent all this other goofy sci-fi shit. And with Worf romance, like, she can be Jadzia and exist wonderfully in the moment.
And we're 16 episodes into a 26 episode season, so like we've already seen the majority of season 4. I don't think it's going to be a huge prediction to say like Jadzia is probably still the worst main character on the show, but the difference between where she is now and where she was before is massive, thanks to Worf being present. And it does again like show how spoiled we are, that I feel like Jadzia Dax is probably the worst main character on Deep Space Nine, and she is probably better as a character than most of the characters on Voyager and Enterprise ever were. I just don't want to lose sight of that either, right? Like, probably almost all of Enterprise. I would put Trip above her, but aside from that, I think like Jadzia crushes everyone else there.
Phlox,
okay, equivalent to Phlox. I would say I like Jadzia the same way I like Phlox, and Phlox was like my second favorite character on that show. And then for Voyager, like, clearly better than Harry Kim, clearly better than Chakotay, probably better than Tuvok most of the time. Not that Tuvok was poorly played, but Tuvok was just written very boringly. Like, and she's the worst. She's the bottom, and like. We are existing in plenty, my friend. Like, we have,
thankfully so.
Yeah, and we'll continue that existence in that plenty next week.